Trigger.
Oh wow! Today is National Coming Out Day.
And we're so excited.
This day has a lot of meaning to both of us.
Yes, it does.
Coming out as someone who is LGBTQ plus
Yes.
is a huge endeavor for a lot of us.
That's
It's
the
a
tea,
hallmark
that's the
of your
tea.
life, something that you never forget. And coming out looks different for everyone, so we
It
just
does.
want to just share a little bit about that. We got questions on Instagram.
Yes.
And persons asked us questions.
Yes, they did.
So we're gonna respond to those questions
Yes.
via this podcast.
Exactly.
You
And if you ever want to ask us questions, you can go ahead and ask that in our Instagram. What's the
Yes.
name of our Instagram again?
Oh, yeah, by the way, follow us at OKSissy on
Yes.
Instagram and everything.
OKSissy 876.
876.
There
yeah.
we go. At OKSissy 876.
on
She
Instagram.
said, listen, she set up the Instagram, but I know the actual.
So the first question that we get is, how did you guys come out? And I'll allow Krill to take it first.
All right. So I will say, to preface this, that coming out is a constant evolving thing that someone as a queer person and an LGBTQIA plus person will do. And it's different from straight people because that's the assumption. The assumption is that someone is straight, right? So when you're in the workplace, when you're at school, wherever you are, that is the initial assumption. For someone, however, who is LGBTQIA, many times that is not the assumption. And so with every new person you meet, it's almost like coming out again. It's a constant revealing of self. You know what I mean? And so that's a pressure on queer people that others may not realize.
Yeah.
And so because of that, many queer people have multiple coming out stories, right? So I'll just share one of mine, one that's really, really dear to me, and that was coming out to the first member of my family that I ever came out to was my wonderful aunt, my beautiful aunt.
Shout out.
Shout out. Yes, girl, say you me attack too. I was at Howard, and I'm so emotional right now. JK. Anyways, yes, I was at Howard, and when I started Howard, I knew that I had already made the decision that if I was going to come to America to do school, I was going to be out. I was going to live my life authentic. That was a major decision in my deciding to do school abroad, And so I was aspiring to that, and my aunt and I were very close, and we spoke, every day and all of that. And she was
She's that girl.
She is that girl, we share everything together. And and in speaking about my anxieties and what I was going through at school and what was on my mind and stuff, I kept having to refrain from saying some stuff, because that's the life I had come used to living, where you can never really talk to someone give someone the full story about something, because many parts of that links to you being queer, and you don't want to reveal that about yourself right now for fear of discrimination or judgment. And so, but she was always there for me, and so trying to say things to her and reveal things to her and leaving out a part of the story, it did not seem, fear to me or fear to her. And so right there on that call, I was like, she was like, I can't remember what it was. I can remember, but I don't want to give that away. But she was like, so why can't you do this specific thing? Like, why can't you do that? Yada, yada, yada. And I was like, you know what, auntie? I am gay. I am gay. And, this is the tea, girl. This right here is the true tea. Slurp. I said, this right here is the true tea. And so, she said, see then, you could have just said it long time ago. You think me never know? Oh, Mr. Girl, you told me no, see you know, but she don't really want to say some things yet, Because said that my auntie is as good as gal, and so she is a good ups. And we were so close, and it just really, really felt a way to really keep that from her, and I knew that she would be there for me no matter what. You know what I mean? And that was my first coming out to a family member, and to be received so well, and to be my defender, and to be, a place of solace in my family. Because the thing was, I was giving very Harry Potter back in high school. I went to a boarding school, and I was there, and I loved to be there to live my life. But when I went home back to my family, I really had to give you closeted George. And it's not like somebody did open a boarding school anyway.
Yeah,
It was still a
yeah.
closeted truth, but a very,
Very different kind of
yes,
closeted,
we
yeah.
could be much more open, you
Yeah,
know?
mhm.
And so I lost that connection with my family in that way because they never knew a part of myself, a true part of myself that they would judge. And I never felt comfortable sharing that. And so to finally have my aunt to do that was
Yeah.
so wonderful. And honestly, that's my second home. Maybe first home, who knows, girl? I mean, no shade to like homes and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, love my peeps. But, you know, my auntie, I love you so much. I love you, I love you, I love you.
Yes.
And that's what a wonderful, positive coming out story because we're keeping it great and beautiful and
Yes.
lovely today. And that was a good one. Tell me about you, my lovely old
Alright, girl.
Tell me about you.
So I'll share my coming out story when I came out to my plans.
Mm-hmm.
Friend and I, we lived on the same floor. He lived like a couple of doors down.
Yeah.
And he would always come to my room and, you know, tell me about his escapades and, you know.
Not the escapades. Hey!
We're keeping it on our honest tube. He's just telling me about his escapades.
Yes, about life in general.
And escapades.
About life in general. You know how people live life. Hey.
But anyway, so I was that girl to be sitting down to listen to his escapades and, you know, sipping my tea and, you know, just relishing in it all, but I wasn't the one to be sharing a portion of myself.
Not sharing the tea.
And he would say when I first came out, I think what you say that you always knew I was gay or queer.
Yeah.
But I think a huge part of being there for someone is to not force them to come out.
Yes,
you know?
I never did that. I
would just sit down and listen to his stories and, you know, relish and just think about it and think about my existence and what I wanted to shape my college experience as. And I was just very scared, to be honest, to do that, you know. I was very
It's a scary
scared.
thing. It's such a scary thing.
Even though I was miles and miles away, you know, I still had so many Jamaican people around me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not giving that small liberal arts tease where I didn't know everybody. It was giving me, you know, people that I was acquainted with and community, but a different form of community.
So they want somebody when we come here, we didn't know that for a long time. But
yes. But even my bestie Kim, she didn't know anything about me when I was in high school.
But I don't want to Kim she.
Yeah. I mean, Kim is that girl, you know, people would always ask her. People would always ask her and assume things.
Shout out to my other friends, my beautiful girlfriends who for years people asked you and you defended me and said I was not.
Yes.
And I really was. Some of them did really best, you know, when me did I like.
But we'll get into that.
Yes.
But yeah, so one day, let me go into the full coming out story.
Yes,
because this is one adjacent. We go from a whole part.
Tangent, bitch. Jump in.
Yeah. So it was our sophomore year, right? Mm-hmm. And you know them little ways then when you just have like a crush on somebody, so you know somebody that give me one buzz over one period that time.
A cute little buzz.
You know, so the person that give me a buzz for a period of time and me never did reciprocate anything. Mm-hmm. But then I don't know what clicked. There was something in my head that just clicked and me I'm like, okay, maybe I must explore this a little bit, right? So I started to do the exploring and a little bit and I started to shoot my shot.
Shooting shots.
I am not a shoot your shot.
You are not that one. You are not the one.
I am not that girl to shoot my shot first at all. But I decided in this case that I was going to do it.
Yes.
Stories for days, but that's another story for the next day. But yes, I decided to shoot my shot. Mm-hmm. And I remember distinctly, we were in Towers. I had come to visit you and one of our mutual friends that day, right?
Yes.
I was trying to figure out how to broach a situation. Because you know me, I didn't have any life experiences overall. I mean, I had some experience, but you know, I wasn't the girl to be like having 10 million people in my line and, you know, I hit up this phone and then somebody, you know. Yes. I was a very angel, to be honest. So me come to me good as friends and feel like advice. And I wasn't really sure how to frame the gender of how I was asking the question, right? So, you know, my knees them start shit now.
Oh,
and heart them start butter me, I flutter me.
This
But I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to frame and broach the situation? Mm-hmm. So anyways, me eventually spill the tea, me provide names and them sit there, and the girls them were gagged. Gag not in the sense of surprise, but
Okay.
gag.
I mean, we never gagged. We never did gag at all.
No, girl. I mean, gag in the sense of
that you did it.
excitement.
Oh yeah.
Girl,
No, but me actually gag didn't actually do it because you know I thought maybe you would kind of go along with it for a little bit longer. You know the whole straight thing, like well, not even that. Because here's the thing: I don't think to me you never gave up a thing that you were straight. Never. That was that. It was just an ambiguity that existed there, and I knew what it was, and I knew that what that feeling was because I had been there before, and so everyone has their time within that period, you know, before you come to the realization that you want to accept yourself and then you want to feel like you want to be accepted by others.
Yeah.
And that right there, you know, those are very uncharted waters at that time. And, you know, for someone like me, it came a little bit earlier because I had, I guess, the space and the freedom to do that in my teenage years. But for you, you were just, you know, because I left my home kind of early to go to boarding school to do that. And so this was your time leaving your home. Yeah, you know, very that, exactly, you know. So, you know, I was just waiting, you know, I know them so much, you know. I've seen so many people go through it over the years. So, you know, I gave him his time, but God, that night, I was so happy. I was just so happy to hear it, you know, because there's just this freedom within oneself when you do that first coming out, and you have people there to support you as well.
It's kind of like an adrenaline rush, you know, like when you you're building up to a moment, and then when you finally like release it, it's like
yes.
And I think that moment really propelled me to have my other coming out stories. I think the same night I came out to Kim, I'll say that for another day with Kim when she's here.
Yes.
But yeah, it was like a trickling and a sequence of events that followed that. So yeah, those are just two of our coming out stories. Of course, just stay tuned to our channel and we'll tell you more. We have lots and lots of stories to share.
And you know, not all of them are as like cute and positive as the one I gave tonight. You know? As I said, everything is different with everybody. It's and it's a journey. And once you've taken that first step, it's a journey that hopefully you don't trod alone, you know, that you have people there with that, and it gets easier and easier as the days go by. But not all of them will be like that.
Yeah. In keeping with that, let's we have another question. What reactions feel most supportive when someone is coming out? I guess it's like a friend. What reaction would feel most supportive when someone is coming out? And I think you touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's about. I think the most supportive reaction would just be acceptance. You know.
Yes.
However that shapes or forms. I mean, there are many different forms of acceptance. You know, on one spectrum, it's full acceptance. Yeah, girl, I love you right. True, not matter, I just love you right. And then on the other end, it's kind of like, you know, I may not accept this portion of you 100% fully, or I may not understand this portion of you 100% fully. But I love you for who you are at your core. So, you know, as long as you still work your understanding and your love for the person and show that love for that person, I think that's the most supportive thing you can do. It is,
you know, because there are many types, and you know, I can think of many different ones, you know, for example, like, you know, older friends that I grew up with, for some, you know, a little bit of a surprise because they leaned into the delusion that I was not.
Not delusion.
You know, you know, they really leaned into it because I guess I leaned into it as well.
Just a full delusion.
You know, so they leaned into it with me. You know what I mean? And for some of them, it was just like, okay, if that is the tea, then okay, cool. And it's like, you know, but I thought you were this, whatever. While there were others who was just like, okay, and just like kind of accept it. With family, it's a little bit trickier. You know, some people take a longer time to lean into that. Sometimes they never, like, that is not what they want for you, but because of the love that they have for you, it's like, well, this is just what it is, and I will do it now. I think in some regards, that's where my parents are a little bit, and that's another thing. And then, you know, like, I had others, like, people, like, reach out, like, family, like, reach out, like, email me and be like, you know, I heard this, I saw this, yada, yada, yada. Just know that if you need help or support, I am there for you. While you have others who, you know, you can't hear back say they are really not living for it. But when the time does come, if I was to call and need help, for anything, or whatever, they're still there for me. And I would say it's the most surprising thing, because it's one of the hardest things that I ever had to do, and the journey of me coming out to my family is a very long thing. And it's a storied thing. But to be in a place now where it's just like a known thing, and I'm not estranged from.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, that I will say that has it has allowed me to be the person who I am now, being able to do this, to be on this platform that we're doing right now. Because I think without that, I would not be able to do that. Because sometimes you feel like you want to hold back from your full potential,
and you fully realize self.
Yes.
So I think I want to use this moment, especially. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out my sister and my aunt. Girl, when I am, and I didn't even really come out to them. I think they just heard it. And I.
Long time people are hear about me. Yeah. Long time no one hear about me.
Well, when they heard, one of the first things that they did was actually message me. They messaged me just showing that, regardless of everything, I love you, I support you. And just sitting down and reading some of those messages, sometimes I really go through my phone and just look back at some of those messages.
Yeah.
It's like, it just feels like, there's someone in your corner, there's someone that's there to defend you. Especially when there are people, on the opposite spectrum, the completely opposite spectrum, who are just trying to fight you out. And for my mother and my brother, they don't necessarily understand fully, I'd say, what being gay is like, especially from my brother, I'm one Jamaican boy, man, I should say. I'm one grown man now.
Don't be coming for brother, honey. Right? Don't be calling him no boy. He's a man.
But I think a part of him just accepts me for being me.
Yes.
And it doesn't change our dynamic, and it doesn't change our relationship. And I think that's the one thing that's very important. It really shouldn't change the dynamics of the relationship.
Because honestly, you've known me for a long time. You know what I mean? It's like you grew up with me. You know who I am. You know what the person is. And it's not like you've probably never had that question. You probably, it's not, baby. No, girl. People really do face up and be like, oh my God, I never knew. And I'm like, girl. Honey,
really?
Truly, have we not been through this before? I knew I lied the last time.
Right.
And I knew I painted a story the last time, and you lean into that delusion, and it made a relationship continue and flow through. We didn't have to confront it. But honestly,
your very core self. You knew there was a part of
that. Yes, and you've always known.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing. Be honest with yourself. A part of us accepting ourselves is being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And others, people, whether you have to be honest with yourself as well. You know what I mean? So the delusion is great, though. People love leaning into that. The fantasy of it all.
Yeah. On the flip side, the person who asks, what reactions feel the least supportive?
The least supportive? Oh, wow. Anyways, when you come and do this, let me tell you the least supportive one. The least supportive one, when they outright says, when they're outright, I won't say dismissive, critical, judgmental of the whole thing, where it's like you're an abomination, or you're a disappointment, or anything like that.
Don't battle me to death. Please don't battle me to death.
And then also with the fact that, especially if it's someone close to you, someone who, because listen, if we're being honest with ourselves, and we're talking about that delusion, we know within ourselves what people know and what people get on it. So when it comes to the judgment, and then the ignorance of I never knew, and how dare you, whatever, and it's like, okay, this is not a surprise to you. This is not a how dare you moment one. And then you're also being critical and whatever. Baby girl, you probably have years to think about this. You probably thought about this many times. That to me is the most but I mean, I will say, I say that from a point of privilege, considering the fact that I'm not estranged from anybody else. To be honest, the most toxic thing is, when parents or family members are estranged from, their children, or who are family members or friends or whomever, and leave them. There's many problems with people being kicked out of their homes early. Having to live in the streets. They are disowned all across the world. Especially in the Caribbean. When it comes to trans women, when it comes to gay men and trans women, especially, that's how it happens to everybody too. but I know that for in many Caribbean places, trans women and gay men, especially femme-leaning men,
Yeah.
you know, that is something that is terrible. Okay. When you're walking around and you're trying to judge a gully queen and you're trying to whatever, you
I
do
don't even
not
like the
know.
term gully
I don't
queen
even
either,
like
you
it.
know?
I despise it, you know.
Yeah.
But when you're walking around and you're doing that, and you say, or if you are even another queer person who has the privilege to be out and live a regular life and whatever, then you're like, oh, I'm not like them.
And
I'm
you're
not
stigmatized
and whatever.
You're stigmatized in a certain segment of your community.
Exactly,
Like,
and those
that
are
don't make sense.
yes, and those are the ones who did not have the privilege enough to
Yeah.
still have that family support. Where upon learning that they were LGBTQ, they were outcast. They became outcast,
Yeah.
and now they have to struggle to find a living and turn to sex work, living in the streets, doing all of that. And so when those people are, honey, get it together.
Yeah.
Because for other LGBTQ people who do that, listen, that is a privilege that you have to be able to do that. Don't forget it.
If you guys have never watched Pose on FX, please do so.
Get into
that can
it.
give you some real insight into just gay life and trans life.
Yes.
You know?
Trans life matter, honey.
Yes,
Black
honey.
trans life matter.
Next question. What if I lose loved ones because they don't accept me? What do I do then?
Tell me.
I think if someone doesn't accept who you are, the most important thing to remember is at the end of the day, you're going to be okay.
Yes.
It's going to be fine, baby girl. There is going to be a community out there in some way, shape, or form.
Find that community. That's important.
Yeah.
Finding that community. Because when you do come out to someone and it's not accepted in the best of ways, you need to have that community to really fall back on. Finding that community is very, very important. You know, for many queer people, it's said that, you know, because of the loss of blood family, many times just based on one, you know, being LGBTQ, you have a chosen family.
Yeah.
And that chosen family is very, 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 very important. And that's what will uplift you. So many times before you made the decision of coming out to others, especially those that you're much more hesitant or tentative about coming out to, one usually makes that decision knowing that they have some type of support system, some type of family, something, you know, something of that effect to really fall back on. And I think that's very, very important. I will say that that's really, really important. Because when estrangement does happen and loss of relationships, loss of friendships,
it can take a huge toll on you.
Huge toll.
So there is you need someone or a group of people to be able to fall back on, you know? Someone who is gonna understand you, I guess. And it could be a surprise person in your life, you know. It could be someone who you least expect. But just being willing and don't let that experience define who you are. I would say, don't let it define who you are, because there are thousands and millions of other people out there who are willing to accept you, who are willing to love you. This one person, and I want to say too that this one person for that moment may not choose to accept you in that moment. But it doesn't mean it's the end all and be all of everything, you know?
True.
Relationships change, dynamics change, time heals a lot of times. So while you can have hope, and you can hold out on hope that this person will change, also heal within yourself, you know? Also be okay if it goes either way, you know? For me, in my experience and my dynamics with some of my family members, it's like, I love you, I'll always love you, but I have to be okay with who I am. And I can't allow you to define who I am and define how I love myself, you know? My loving myself is frankly more important than your feelings.
Oh, very that.
Just learn to love yourself and be okay with being okay with not necessarily losing relationships, but being okay that some relationships may change, you know? Coming out is about change, you know, and change in many different sets. Change for self, change for people.
And of course, keeping one's safety and security in mind. And so, if you foresee that this specific relationship change will negatively affect you in a monumental way, then that is okay to keep that for a while until you are able to do that. So, you know, you also have to think about something like that. It's when you get to that place in life where either you know that if you come out to this person, then it will not, you know, negatively impact you in a very practical way that you kind of have to, you know what I mean? So Always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind. That's important.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, I think what trumps all of that.
Yes. Oh,
trumps
fully that.
everything.
Oh, yeah. Fully that. Fully that.
At least for me, and I know that's a function of my privilege and my being in a space whereby I am free to do that, you know.
But the fact is, experiencing that freedom and knowing what it is
Yeah.
like, one can say that
It's
it
a
is the
tea.
preferred way.
It's a tea. It's
Yes.
a full tea. It's the reason why we have this podcast right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Not to spread the gay agenda.
Not
but-
the gay agenda.
but fully to
Honest.
help other people be able to realize that, you know, there's a community of folks out here who
Yes.
look
yes.
like you, who sound like you,
Very that.
who, you know, like they have their own experience and our
And we
experiences are all
there,
different,
yes.
but we're all here together, you
Mhm.
know, and we can all make it through.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Unity is what we want. It's unity. I just made it up.
Oh yes, Candy. Question. How do you overcome people making you feel like you lied to them for all those years?
Anyways, I go back and forth. I go back and forth with this because I try to think of myself being very self-aware and understanding things from different perspectives. Like, you know, I am in touch with myself. I'm in touch with my emotions. I'm empathetic. I'm also in touch with others' emotions. Like, I can get things from a very objective, wide stance.
Mhm.
But sometimes I can also choose to be selfish, right?
Mhm.
And it's a ping pong. So sometimes I can come from the fact that, you know what? I get why you might feel lied to. I get why you might feel deceived to because I said this and I did that. And, you know, it kind of, if it came out pathological, then okay, cute. But, you know, it's for one's own safety.
Pathological child.
No, girl, no, listen, no, because growing up as like a gay child, you know, there's a lot of
I get
lie.
what you mean, I get
Yeah,
what
you
you
tell
mean.
enough lie because you don't want somebody to find out about you, you know, or whatever like that, you know.
I don't even feel like it's lying. To be honest.
Yeah,
At
but
the end
it's
of the
just
day,
keeping things from people. It's a lot that
Yeah.
you keep. There's a lot of
also
yourself that you
omission,
keep.
yes.
Yes, a lot of omission. A lot of yourself that you keep from people. And I get how that, but you know, for us, it's a safety thing, and and that's when I say I get selfish, where it's just like, I mean, it's cute, but if I felt that I could not have come out to you, if I felt that I could not have been honest with that, it just means that there was something from you.
Yeah.
Truly, that gave me that feeling.
For
Obviously,
some
I did not
people,
feel
not
comfortable.
all persons.
Not all persons, not
Yeah,
all
some,
persons.
yeah.
And sometimes, you know, you're still discombobulated and confuse your
Yeah.
own self, and that's not something about yourself you want to accept yet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mhm.
so for someone else to do that, you wouldn't even have wanted that too.
Yeah.
But I just know for some of my friends who, when I said to them or when I told them the truth or whatever, and they were like, huh, you know, and they lied to me, or you did say,
Yeah.
but you used to say this, or you did tell me this story about this girl or whatever, but it was really a boy or whatever the hell. I'm just like, I get it.
Mhm.
But for me, this is a safety thing. This is my own life. This is a lot that I am thinking about. This is a lot that this ties to. And when you grow up in a place and a space and a world where that is not something that is accepted and you see the ramifications of this. I've seen people at school, the boarding school I went to, get ran off campus. They had to leave school. People come
Bullied,
and chase
kicked
them
on
and
something,
mobs
yeah,
and
girl.
shit like that. Like, I had seen that. And knowing what I want to put my safety in jeopardy like that. And so, for self-preservation, you know, that just had to be the tea. And thankfully, I love and trust you so much now that I am able to tell you now. Whether that, you know, you felt deceived in the past or whatever, it just means that I am now at a place where I feel that love and that trust, and I am okay within it, within myself, and able to accept the consequences of what this information might mean to our friendship or relationship. I'm at that space now. And so now you're getting this, and that is what it is. And it's really up to you if you want to see that with the bigger picture to understand why now you're just hearing this, or if you want to just feel defensive and lied to or whatever. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of people just have a very, and you touched on selfish in the sense that of us not sharing a portion of ourselves. But a lot of people have a very self-centered view on coming out. If I knew a certain portion of myself, or I recognized a certain portion of myself and I wasn't sure about it, and I'm telling you now that, hey, this is my fully realized self, and you're gonna focus on you and how you are feeling while maybe you're bad and a bit emotional, then girl, sorry to that man. Sorry to you.
Not sorry to that man.
So Kiki Palmer in this. Like, my coming out should not be about you. My coming out should be about us and how we're gonna rebuild our relationship if it truly has that impact on you, you know? And I think for me, I've had to, swallow my pride many a times to some of the closest people around me and say, you know what, I'm sorry this affected you in this certain type of way, but let's move forward. And, a lot of people are stuck in the past. I am not stuck in the past. I am just trying to live in the present and move forward to a more propitious future. So if you're stuck in the past, then sorry.
Some girls are stuck in the past, honey.
Snip, snip. And I can do but so much as a human to try and rebuild our relationships. Friendships and relationships are a two-way street. If you're not going to put in the work, and I have put in the work, then may not have nothing to feel guilty about.
Very that. Very that. I like
you guys for watching OKSissy.
Thank you guys for watching. Oh my God, I'm so excited about all of this that is going on. Come through to OKSissy. We're the new team. We're the new girls. Jump into it,
the new girls on the block.
Yes, and get the life. Get your mother effing life.
This is your man at home.
Oh wow, it's getting 90s.
No, me I think about J-Lo, but I couldn't remember that song about J-Lo on the block.
I'm still Jennifer on the block. Anyways, oh wow, we've come to the end. We've come to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching, for listening, whichever one you may be.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the OKSissy YouTube channel. Subscribe to our whatever you're listening to this on, if that is what you're doing. Subscribe to that too. I don't know whatever. Subscribe to podcast, whatever. Subscribe to it. Thanks for listening to us. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Share it with your friends. Like, share, comment, do all of that. Thank you guys so much for listening to the OKSissy.
And for all the queers out there, happy National Coming Out Day.
Happy National Coming Out Day.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you guys for watching.
Bye.